Alright, so I want to talk about mascot design today and how you can make OCs that you're proud of and that you'll stay attached to over time. I see a lot of people who seem to be switching mascots every other day or making characters that they never really use, or they just don't get fan art that often because of the complexity of their character. And I thought I'd go over how to avoid having these things happen to you when you're designing. I'm not really a professional designer or anything, so if you're looking for more specific advice than this, I'd recommend asking someone else, but I'll just be talking about points that came to my mind over the months about how I can become more attached to my designs and not feel like selling them immediately after making them. So anyway, I hope you'll enjoy this one. It was a video I've been wanting to make for a while, and I spent a good amount of time thinking about these things. Hopefully it'll be of some use to you, and without further ado, let's get into my first point. Number 1, avoid using free-to-use bases and make build a part of your design. This might be controversial, but in my experiences, I've made more original designs off base that stuck with me rather than using free-to-use ones, especially ones like small midget space that come with accessories, because you'll see this exact same build all over the internet and it'll make yours stand out a lot less. If you're going to use a base, at least edit the liner and change some things about the character. This goes hand in hand with remembering that build and figure is a part of your character. I see a lot of designs where people just take an ordinary dog and stick accessories on it and don't seem to understand why it doesn't make the impact that other relatively famous mascots do. Tail shape, fur poofiness, general size, etc. are all a part of your character. Is your OC chubby, round, and cute, or thin, agile, and smart? Or maybe somewhere in the middle. Does your character have a long puffy tail or a thin wiry one? You can't really give off these same features with a free-to-use base, especially if you don't edit the line art at all. Number 2, use some sort of theme or general idea when designing. Don't just fill in your OC with random colors and lines without any clue how you want it to look. Especially when designing yourself a mascot, consider your personality and or the feel you want your content to give off. Stella was a star-themed cat with soft, chill colors that go together relatively well. Kindle, on the other hand, has a very fire-like, light color palette with sharper patterns and very snazzy hair. These characters are completely different, but when you look at them, you can describe the theme pretty easily. There are tons of themes out there that you can find complementary mood boards or color palettes for with just a Google search. Some examples are cottagecore, ice train, pastel, etc. Number 3, keep complexity in mind. The most common mistake I see is people making their character designs way too oversimplified. There are definitely overcomplicated designs too, and those can be a pain as well, but oversimplification is a problem I see with more beginner designers. I get that you want to be able to draw your character quickly, but a solid colored cat or basic tabby cat or gray wolf is just kind of boring, to be honest, and you want to be original and unique, not just like every other person who just started their channel. However, try not to overcomplicate either, or people won't be able to draw your character at all. Try to have at least 4 colors, but not over 7, at least 1 accessory, but no more than 4, unless they're optional, and at least some basic pattern that goes with the theme, but not too many to the point where you can't distinguish each. Mascots are supposed to be memorable, and if a character is too simple or too complicated, you can't really accomplish this, because either the OC is so basic that it's too boring to stand out to people, or it's too complex and the viewer can't see what's supposed to be going on. The colors alone should stand out to people. I'd like to think that these 4 colors are relatively recognizable, and although this character is the mascot for my channel, this set of colors alone could represent me just as well. Number 4, redesign your characters often. Another really common issue I see is people making a design and then just keeping that same design as their mascot for months and months. You become a better designer as time progresses and your interests vary. You should occasionally redesign your mascot if you're feeling less attached to it. It's not like the only option is to just make a new character. If you like your character's color or theme but feel that for some reason it just isn't connecting with you anymore, redesigning is a lot better than just throwing it away. You shouldn't feel like just because you have a large sum of artwork for a character that you can't make changes. You're the one running the account and you should feel attached to your own mascot. If you never draw your own OCs and or doing so is a chore for you, that might mean they need a more interesting redesign. You don't want a design you made like half a year ago representing you as a person, because you probably improved a lot from that point and can do a lot better. Number 5, referencing is not illegal. You're allowed to use images off the internet to inspire your designs. I see a lot of beginning designers thinking that using a mood board made by someone else or using similar colors as someone else is against the rules and will get them sued or something. Referencing is a key part to inspiration, and you're allowed to do these things as long as you aren't heavy referencing. And you might be thinking, how am I supposed to know if I'm heavy referencing? As a general rule of thumb, when referencing off of someone else's design, just picture what they'd think if they saw that design. If they can immediately tell it's referenced off of their character and see exactly how and where, you probably referenced off of their design a little bit too heavily. I actually see a lot of designs where the pattern placement is exactly the same or really similar to Stello and have the same theme with just different colors. This kind of referencing really isn't okay. However, small things influence influencing how you make your own designs is absolutely fine and a key part to shaping a good character. Number 6. Species. The safest species to go with are any types of canine or feline characters. These have the potential to be recognizable, they're easy to work with, many different people will be able to draw them, be it for fan art or commissions, and if you ever get to the spot where you blow up and are super famous, they can be a mascot that will very easily represent you. However, don't be afraid to experiment with other species. There are tons of species out there, and originality is important. If you really like bats, and really enjoy drawing bats, and love how bats look, but you don't really like dogs too much, and like bats way more, don't make your mascot a dog, make your mascot a bat, because that's what makes you happy. I played around with a few species before settling on an ordinary domestic cat. In fact, some of you might remember that my old mascot was actually a skunk. The reason I changed it was because although I really like skunks, I can't really draw skunks, and neither could anybody else. When people drew my character, they ended up just drawing it as a cat anyway, so I decided to make my mascot a feline. I like cats a lot, and this worked out for me. However, don't feel obligated to change your mascot species if you like it the way it is. 7. Constructive criticism. This is surprisingly a step that a lot of designers skip. Try to get some feedback from friends on your design so you can see where you can improve it and how you can make it a better character. Try to find someone who will genuinely give you good advice. Something I see a lot is somebody posting a new character to their social media and getting a bunch of comments like, "This is a perfect character, I see nothing wrong with it, you're a great designer." These types of comments really don't help you improve, and you'll have more luck talking to a smaller group of friends or just DMing a friend that you know will genuinely give you good advice that you can use. Some examples of good advice are their opinions on the color choice, how you use the patterns, the accessories, and the story. If you want, you can reach out to me if you can't find anyone to help you out. Keep in mind that criticism is something that you can use, but not something that you have to take. Nobody's word is law, and you can choose whether you agree with them and want to make changes or not. Try not to feel offended by it either. They're just trying to help you out with their general thoughts on how you could possibly do better. Number 8. Lore and story. Lore is not necessary for your mascot. There are tons of people who don't feel the need to attach any. It depends on what style of videos you make. If you're an animation meme channel, having some sort of lore will be highly beneficial. It gives purpose to your animations and people can slowly figure out a story and theorize by putting pieces together. However, if you run a character still commentary channel like mine, lore isn't really a necessity because the lore behind a mascot really has nothing to do with the video. Dello actually does have a good deal of lore, but you don't really have to do this. Keep in mind when adding accessories, don't just pick the first thing that comes to your mind though. I see so many mascots with just a random bandana or backpack that has nothing to do with the character. Try and consider the personality and backstory of the character. If they're on the more chill, introverted side, perhaps a beloved plush or a blanket. If they're really vocal and extroverted, maybe a tattoo or piercing or weapon. Interesting accessories that people don't see often helps make your character stand out. Having no accessories at all means that you 1. Have nothing to define your character against other characters, and 2. Will probably become disconnected from your character faster. Lastly, here are my final tips that you should keep in mind during the designing process. 1. You can take breaks while designing to clear your head. You don't have to design a character in one shot, and sometimes taking a short break and then looking at your work in progress again can give you new ideas. 2. Contrast is important in your color palette. Try not to make your character completely green or completely brown or something. 1 or 2 flashy colors that are in small doses but contrast the rest of the palette can help with the recognizability of your character. 3. Your mascot and your persona can be different things, or they can be the same thing. What I mean by this is your mascot doesn't have to be your persona if you don't want it to be. It doesn't have to have the same personality as you or be exactly like you. Of course, if you want it to be your persona, obviously you can, but don't feel obligated to do so. Number 4, your mascot doesn't really need a backstory, but a bit of lore attached to it can help. If you're going to attach lore to a character, try and introduce it slowly to your audience so that they can figure it out in pieces and theorize. 5, make sure you have a clear digital reference sheet for your character stored somewhere easily accessible so that if someone wants to draw it, they can do so without it being difficult for them. And that's basically all the tips I have for today on mascot design. I thought this would be a fun video to make, and it definitely was. If it is your first time here, then welcome to the channel. It's a pleasure having you. If you have any additional ideas that I didn't mention, feel free to drop a comment. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.